Hello everyone, we welcome you for the Armageddon Championship Series 2023, live from our studio in Berlin. My name is Jan Gustafsson, I'm a chess grandmaster, and I'm delighted to be joined by the amazing Jovanka Houska. Jovanka, how are you today?
Thank you, Jan. It's a pleasure to be here, enjoying all the action here. And this is the official start of the second tournament, Asia Oceania. And the first leg of the Armageddon series actually took place last month in Berlin. And the America series, Wesley So triumphed against Sam Shankland. And that meant that Wesley and Sam punched their way into the grand final that will be taking place here in September.
Let's look.
From March 6th to March 13th, 8 players faced off in the first leg of the Armageddon Series Americas in Berlin. American Grandmasters Wesley So, Sam Shankland, Lanier Dominguez, Andrew Tang, Ray Robson and Canada's Eric Hansen were joined by 2 online qualifiers from Peru, Grandmaster Jose Martinez and International Master Renato Terry. There were no quiet days. Every tour saw matches come down to the wire. Armageddon was reached each and every day. Wesley So defeated his compatriot Sam Shankland 2-0 in an exciting final, dodging the Armageddon, and thus won the event. They both qualified for the grand final of the Armageddon series that will take place in Berlin in September 2023.
That was the Wesley show in the first qualifier, but there are more. The one coming up is the Asia Oceania event. After that, we have Europe and Africa following as well. The regional cups will all lead to the grand final with 8 players per event, 32 players total. We also have a special women's championship series from May 8th to 14th.
Yeah, these are the finest minds in the game competing fiercely for that chance to enter the grand final and win the Armageddon Championship. And all events actually broadcast live from the World Chess Club Berlin on Unter den Linden Straße. And here are the players. Just take a look at that.
Yeah, this is the Asia Oceania lineup. 7 world-class players joined by 1 online qualifier who also happens to be a strong grandmaster. But anybody can qualify online here to play with the best. So let us know who are the big stars here.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at that. Headlining the whole event is Daniil Dubov, and a massive rating of 28.02. But you know, he's not the only star. You have a former world champion, Vladimir Kramnik, former world rapid champion Nodirbek Abdusattorov, 18 years old there, and Gukesh, only 16 years old. What a wonder kid.
For sure. Parham also there. And yesterday there was a big opening night in the World Chess Club here in Berlin, open to the public, who were hanging out, playing chess games, having a good time. Also our boy Vidit gave a simul. What did you do?
I just hung around, played some chess, and enjoyed the atmosphere. And there you see Vidit and the players all signing the posters. I mean, such a good vibe last night in Berlin. And there you see Vidit on the verge of giving a simul.
Playing against 10 people at the same time, but I think he defeated them all. He seems to be in great shape for the upcoming tournament.
He was ruthless last night. No one got away with a draw, and there the players are doing what they do best, analyzing. And we have to mention one of our partners, Kaspersky. As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. A perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology. And let's check out how these games are going to go.
Let's have a look at the format.
Yeah,
double elimination, how does that work?
Yeah, it's very trendy. It sounds very complicated, but it's in fact very simple. It just means a player has 2 lives. If you lose a match, then you got knocked down into the lower bracket. And if you lose a match in the lower bracket, that's it. You're out of the competition.
Sounds easy enough. We're about to begin with day 1, so let's have a look at the matchups. I can see Vidit fresh from a semi against Abdusattorov, and Yangyi against Gukesh, the 16-year-old.
Yeah, and let's delve into those matchups. The first one up is Vidit Gujrathi against Nodirbek Abdusattorov, and you can expect violence between these two because they are exceptional players. They've played a total of 17 games in the last 5 years, and the scores are very much in Vidit's favour, but don't be fooled. Nodirbek was quite young at the time.
Vidit much older, of course, you gotta beat them while they're young, but let's learn a little more about Vidit himself. He is the captain of the gold medalist online Olympiad winner 2020, former world champion under 14, India's number 2, and became a grandmaster at 19 years old.
And let's hear more about Vidit from the man himself.
My name is Vidit Gujrathi. I'm a grandmaster from India. I'm 28 years old and my world rank is 17 and Indian rank is 2. I started playing chess when I was 6 years old. My dad introduced me to this game and since then I've been in love, so it's been 22 years of playing this game. My memory which stands out is when I won the under 14 world championship because I got to win after a couple of tries and where I did not do well, so this was very special. My style, I would say, is evolving all the time because chess style is closely reflected with the personality and it keeps changing, it cannot be the same. And I have many passions or hobbies apart from chess. I like to read books, I like to play many sports like basketball, badminton, swimming, and I try my best to balance it, but chess clearly takes more of my time.
Vidit, you're playing your first match of the tournament today against Abdusattorov. Can you tell us a little bit about your preparation?
Well, it's hard to prepare.
That was Vidit's short interview there, but let's get to know his opponent, one of the big up-and-coming stars of today's chess.
Yeah, because he is up against Nodirbek Abdusattorov. You know, he became a grandmaster at 13. He's just, in fact, 18 years old. And take a look at this. He's world rapid champion in 2021 and also helped his country, Uzbekistan, become the gold medal winners of the Chess Olympiad in 2022. And I love this little stat. He was the under-8 Open World Youth Champion.
Didn't even play chess at 8. Let's see the video.
My name is Nodirbek Abdusattorov. I'm 18 years old. I was born in 2004 in Tashkent. My father and brother was playing chess when I was 4 years old in front of my eyes. I was very curious to see how they are playing, and that's how I got into chess. When I became world champion under 8 years old back in 2012, that was the moment that I decided chess would be my main job in my life. I'm generally a very universal player, and I think it's very important to have the skill of playing any kind of position. It's the most memorable moment when I became the world rapid champion in 2021 in Warsaw, when I beat in tiebreaks Jan Nepomniachtchi. Many top grandmasters playing in the tournament, including world champion Magnus Carlsen. I also managed to beat him in a very interesting game. I think that the most important skill in chess is to work hard and to be psychologically very strong. That's what helps me a lot.
What a confident young man. We are so close to the beginning of the Oceania, I keep struggling with it, Asia qualifier. Let's have a look at how this event actually works. Tell us.
Yeah, they're going to play 2 games of blitz at the time controller of 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. Now, after these 2 games, if the match is tied, then we are going to go straight to Armageddon, where white will have 5 minutes and black will have 4 minutes, but black does have the draw odds.
White must win.
Exactly. Oh, this is so tense. We are seconds away, and here we have a very important player in the room. It's Tanya Karoli, the arbiter. Now, she became an arbiter in 2016, an international arbiter that is. And look at this, she studied applied mathematics,
Very
speaks
important
Greek,
as well.
English, French, and Spanish. And here we are seconds away, the lights are on. Handshake, Vidit with the white pieces, Nodirbek playing with the black. And we are seeing a very combative move, e4, and now it's a Sicilian.
We have liftoff, the Rossolimo variation played by Vidit, characterized by moving the bishop out early. Nodirbek choosing a sideline there. Vidit, a very, very strong theoretician, spends a lot of time on his openings. Does that reflect in his heart rate? Does he look calm? Does he still know this?
They look totally calm. I mean, both the players are actually matching heart rates of 89. And just to give you a context here, anything over 100 means that the players are stressed, and anything over 120 means the players are very, very stressed. And if you're going to see heart rates like over 150, then get worried. It's not good.
Not that stressed yet. I believe they're both still in their mental opening book. Vidit captured the bishop with his queen. Now he has to decide, does he bring the queen back to prepare a launch in the center? And he does that. He also knows his openings. But so does Abdusattorov, bringing the bishop out, anticipating Vidit's push. Both sides comparing notes here.
Yeah. And I guess it's all about whether white can break out in the center. And we see...
Knight on the rim.
They're dim, but they're not going to stay there for long. The knight is finding a way to the center, moving knight to c2, getting ready to push the d-pawn 2 squares forward and crack open the position.
Vidit a little behind on the clock. Abdusattorov has hardly thought. They start with 3 minutes, they get 2 seconds per move. Vidit down a little bit, but now Abdusattorov's catching up with his first think of the game.
Yeah, and there we see Abdusattorov. He is pensive, considering his move. I mean, what will he do? Lock down the center, try to prevent white's plans?
Big decision. He brings the queen out, queen to b6. He's trying to fight against white's push in the center. Now his queen, his knight are controlling that crucial square. And I'm very curious what Vidit will do. Is he going to try to play on the queen side? Oh yeah, he develops the bishop to the b2 square. Fianchettos it.
Yeah, anything to get that d-pawn to move 2 squares forward. And Nodirbek is simply saying, no, I'm going to centralize my rook. And okay, Vidit has to develop his dark square bishop. Yeah, there he goes, 1 square forward.
You can see by the little engine bar on the left that it's still very, very balanced. It's right in the middle there, saying this is an equal position. I slightly like white's position because I do like the 2 bishops, the bishop pair. It's not doing that much yet. This bishop on b2 looks a bit passive, but it can be an asset later.
I agree, it's a sleeping giant. And taking a look at the heart rates, we can see they've crept up from their steady 89. They're now hovering close to the 100 mark, which means only one thing, the players are beginning to get stressed. And in terms of the clock times, okay, Vidit in a very comfortable 2 minutes plus 8 seconds.
Pawn to e5. Black keeps fighting for that central square, but Vidit has had enough. He says, let's go. Let's open the combat in the middle there. And Abdusattorov exchanges the pawns and now tries to hang on in the center. And will he manage? White seems to have some options here. He could push his pawn. That's what Vidit does.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Grabs the space. Knight has to retreat, I would guess. You don't really want to be putting that knight on the edge of the board. And yep, he does. And well, one of the consequences of white closing down the center is that black can try to reroute his pieces and try to get a pawn break, say, like move the f-pawn 2 squares forward.
That sounds far away, though. I really like white's position here with the extra space, with the bishops. I believe Vidit has won the opening battle, but Abdusattorov, who does nothing but winning, is a tremendous fighter, even from dodging positions.
Well, he's actually going to have to fight like a lion here.
Now the bishop goes down.
Now the bishop is gone. What is he doing? He's given up all his dark squares.
There is this theory that with very little time on the clock, knights, because they're so tricky, and Abdusattorov has 2 of them, are actually stronger than bishops. Even if objectively white is better, these knights, they can always get in a little fork. So maybe he's taking the clock into account, and it's part of his strategy. But I do like white and his bishop.
I love white's position, and now we see Vidit saying, you're not going to put a rook on the c2 square. And, well, Abdusattorov maneuvering his knights.
They are jumpy.
Yeah, they are very crafty, aren't they? And Vidit, he is moving all his pieces as quickly as possible to the king side.
Both sides are preparing for battle. They're both preparing their respective pawn breaks, f4 or f5, trying to blast the position wide open. There's also this bishop on b2. It wants a clearer line of sight towards the black king, which is there on g7.
It does, and take a look at who's getting excited, or should I say stressed about their position. Vidit now under the minute mark, and his heart rate is skyrocketing to 125, whereas Nodirbek, well, he's suddenly become the Iceman.
There comes the pawn break. As you've mentioned earlier, it took a while, but it's finally here. And will Vidit meet fire with fire and go pawn to f4 himself?
He has to. Now is the time. He's only got 31 seconds left on the clock. Oh, he's no.
He didn't do it. He attacks the knight on e7 with his queen, but that won't be missed by a player of Abdusattorov's caliber.
Yeah.
Covers it.
And to the left of the live screen, we can actually see that there is a little bar indicating what a computer thinks of this position. And surprise, surprise,
Black is back in business.
It's okay, yeah. And Vidit maneuvering his rook. I like this move.
I think he's been a little hesitant, not going for the pawn break, trying to just maneuver with the pieces. That gave Abdusattorov time to bring all his pieces over to the king side. He's ready for battle there. He's ahead on the clock. The tables have slightly turned.
Yeah, the tables are definitely turned, and we're seeing a trade of minor pieces. Will the rooks come off the board? Yes, they will. And there we see. Now, I don't know, I still prefer white, but there is a big element of risk here for Vidit.
I no longer like it. The d5 pawn is weak, and his king also feels a little bit shaky there.
But check out that move that Vidit just played, you know, blasting open the center, trying to elongate the diagonal of the dark square bishop. And
this is a mess. Getting the pawn, queen back. Can Abdusattorov take now? I want to grab one of these pawns. Rook takes f4. What's the problem? Yeah, there we go.
Go for it.
Just take pawn up. And Vidit down to 1 second.
Unbelievable.
We have an endgame where black has an extra pawn. This looks very, very promising. Abdusattorov will take, unpin his knight. Yeah, moves the king away. King to e7, he will be 2 pawns up and should win, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. And just take a look at the way that Nodirbek simply deprives his opponent of any counterplay whatsoever. And now this is bad news for Vidit, who started with the white pieces. If he loses this, he will play game 2 in a must-win situation with black.
He will lose this. Abdusattorov is an amazing, amazing technician, even from a very young age. He was known for his prowess in endgames. Here with the 2 extra pawns, there is really no way that he's not going to win this. Rough start for the Indian star.
Yeah, and we see Nodirbek, you know, he's making all the right moves. Look at that, giving a check to the white king. White king is driven away from the action. Knight
preparing a knight fork. You can't take the pawn because then the knight would jump there, attack both the king and the bishop. Vidit defending, but there is no real hope. Abdusattorov has all the time in the world. The white pawn on a3 over there is also a target that Abdusattorov could just go for if he feels like this is hopeless.
He's gone for the flashy approach. He's simply pushing his passed pawns, and it is resign time for Vidit. 7. The clock is ticking down. Hopeless position, and there we see a handshake. Nodirbek has won. Whew. Wow.
Yeah. Rough game. Vidit had a good opening as the opening specialist that he is, but then Abdusattorov came back very, very strongly. Let's have a look at some of the highlights here. Abdusattorov winning his first game with the black pieces.
Yeah, very impressive performance from the 18-year-old. As you mentioned, you know, he had a difficult position in the opening, but some resourceful moves, and that's it. He was back in the game, and here we, well, back to you and me. I mean, I was very, very impressed by that.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out where Vidit lost the threat, because it looked like he was cruising everything under control. But you know the structure they had, the so-called King's Indian structure, there's always counterplay. And here we see it, Abdusattorov giving up both his bishops and then preparing this push. Vidit slowly falling behind on the clock.
Very daring play from the Uzbek teenager, and didn't care about the two bishops. I was very impressed by that decision, even though I was quite critical at the time. With hindsight, you see everything.
Kids these days, they don't respect bishops.
And here, yeah, as you kind of highlighted, here is the moment where things start to go wrong. Vidit not having too much time on the clock, makes some trades, but at the same time, these trades mean that his pawn in the center is vulnerable to attack.
Yeah, he did lose the threat. I'm not sure how bad his position was here, but also with the pressure on the clock, constantly having to move within a couple seconds. Well, Abdusattorov had a moment to think here. We can see activating his queen, and Vidit just could not keep his position together. Went on to lose a pawn, then another pawn in the game. And now he's in a must-win situation with the black pieces, not a fun spot to be in the second game.
And here we see the closing moments of that game, and just look how precise the teenager is. He gives no chance whatsoever, and pushing his pawns, and Vidit, the clock is ticking down, position is hopeless.
You're wondering why he resigns here. There's no way to stop that pawn in the middle. If his king takes the h3 pawn, then the pawn just keeps running forward, and you can't get a hold of it anymore.
And well, he will have to really recover his composure very fast, because we are seconds away from game 2. And he's in a must-win situation with the black pieces. He's facing off against Nodirbek Abdusattorov, who is perhaps one of the most solid players, also a very universal style, as he told us. And 26 seconds. What chances do you give Vidit?
It's blitz, there's always a chance, but Vidit now will also have to rethink his strategy, because you don't expect to lose with the white pieces, so I don't think he had a game plan for the situation. So he's probably now sitting there wondering, if he goes 1 e4, do I play the Sicilian, do I play the Karthikeyan, what do I do, what do I do against 1 d4? And there's no time to prepare. He has to do all this in a minute in his head now. And here we go. Let's see what he decides.
And we are about to lift off handshake, and here we go. I'm predicting that he's going to open with his, okay, I was going to say the queen's pawn, but the knight does come out, and well, Vidit
inviting the Sicilian. He's saying, please put your pawn in the middle and we'll play now Sicilian. But Abdusattorov saying, no, I want to play a safe game. I will play what do you call this, the reti?
The reti.
Catoing the bishop.
Yes, and well, now it becomes an English where the players are almost playing in a copycat way. And taking a look at the heart rates, I can see that Nodirbek Abdusattorov has a heart rate of 107.
Vidit really calmed down, huh?
Yeah.
All this meditating he's doing, paying off. Even though he's behind in the match, he seems the calmer player at the start. This is a theoretical position, many options here. And he chooses the most combative one, maybe pawn to e6, keeping the structure fluid. But Abdusattorov is saying, you know what, I will grab the center, and it's your problem how you complicate this. I'm in a comfortable spot.
Yeah.
Also theory, rook to e1. Now black faces a choice what to do next. You could take on d4, you could play a move like a6. Curious what Vidit will do. He goes for b6.
And I'm guessing that Abdusattorov will just continue with his development.
Usually black waits for this move b3 and now tries to exploit that diagonal, where the knight is no longer covered, and tries to open the center with c takes d, followed by knight to f5, trying to open it. But Vidit, in a must-win situation, wants to keep more tension, more pieces on the board. But how to create tension here? I don't see it.
I don't see it either. I feel like the problem is that if you do break out in the center, then play just gets accelerated, and there's going to be a whole mass of exchanges in the center. So you don't really want that. You want to keep your pieces on the board. And there you see Vidit actually putting pressure on the d4 pawn. But I'm guessing that Nodirbek can simply step back with his knight and defend it.
Nodirbek should play knight back to e2, covering everything there is. Or, if he feels ambitious, he could push his pawn to the d5 square, grab some space. But that's what Vidit is trying to provoke, to create some imbalances. at the very least think about it, and he goes for the solid.
Yeah, he does. And solid is a solid does, because all he needs is a draw to go through to the next stage in the winner's bracket. And remember, if Vidit draws, or of course loses, then he gets pushed down to the lower bracket where he's down but not out. And there again, I'm really impressed by how the players have managed to calm themselves down, both now under the 100 mark, which is good news.
I was just looking at the sweaters. Do you think they get to keep them, or they're just for the show and then they have to give them back?
I think they get to keep them.
Wow.
And a little secret there, in the Americas, they all wanted to keep their second sweater.
No surprises.
And okay, there we see a pair of dark squared bishops leave the board. Okay, this is good news for Nodirbek. And the more trades he makes, the more simplified the position gets. And it will be higher chances for a draw.
Yeah, he finally went for that push in the center, so the structure gets a little messy. Now he has to think if he can recapture with the queen, but he takes with the pawn. And at the very least, the position remains complicated, because the last thing you want in such a situation is like dry equality. So Vidit is probably worse, but at least there's tension in the position. That's probably his line of reasoning.
And making a trade of knights, and ooh, look at that. That is a beautiful pawn on d5. It's the best type of pawn that you can get.
Protected passed pawn, but I was taught that the knight is a great fighter against such powerful pawns, and Vidit will try to bring his knight from the not very beautiful h6 square to the much better d6 square. And
it's a journey, but I mean, it's
possible.
2 squares away. I mean, but one thing that is worrying, actually, I mean, take a look at the clock difference. I mean, Nodirbek, very calm, 1 minute and 41 seconds, whereas Vidit just has 1 minute and 10 seconds. And when you're only getting 2-second increment per move, this is trouble.
Yeah, Vidit has to bring the knight over, but he's taking too long for such decisions. Probably seeing some goes. He should bring the knight, but he's trying to stop any breaks on the queen side by Nodirbek first. Nodirbek, however, very, very quickly.
And finally, the knight is headed to his dream destination of d6, but look at that, Nodirbek just opening up the position, making a pawn break. Wow.
This is still a tense situation, because if Black gets his dream to exchange the bishop for the knight and then place his knight on this active d6 square, he could very well create some counter chances. On the plus side for White, his own bishop is also ready to take up a very, very pretty post deep in Black's camp. So I think Nodirbek still does have things under control, but what does his heart rate say? It keeps dropping. This kid is ice cold.
Totally, just 84. I mean, I love the way that Nodirbek, Vidit signaled his intentions, and Abdusattorov just went, nope, I don't care. Trade off your bishop for my knight. And there you see the bishop swooping into e6. And I suspect that that knight on d3 can maneuver itself to f2 and perhaps a g4. And suddenly we're going to see the black king under a lot of trouble. And
no more horsing around for that knight. Vidit just takes it. Now he can put his knight on this beautiful d6 square finally. But instead he returns to the edge of the board. What is this?
Well, he's only got 13 seconds left. He has to
keep
as many pieces on the board. He just doesn't want trades. And, well, he's going to have to trade something. His position is not good. And now 9 seconds left. Ooh,
I don't like this.
Not only does he have the worst position, but he also is in a must-win situation. Okay, Nodirbek has to be careful. He can't lift his f-rook 1 square off onto
the other way
second
around.
row.
He can bring the d-rook, and that's what he does. He wants to put all the rooks on this open file, and this poor knight just can't find a good square. Maybe now the h-pawn will advance and take away the last hope, this g5 square for the knight. No, Nodirbek is saying, draw is enough, I'm happy to simplify. Where in German we have this saying, a good horse never jumps higher than it has to.
Well,
no more horses left on the board.
no more horses left, and Vidit under 10 seconds. And also groveling in this position. I mean, just take a look at his pawn structure. None of his pawns can advance. And Nodirbek in complete control.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's so easy to win, but he doesn't have to. He's just being very, very pragmatic, making sure his position is safe and telling Vidit, good luck winning this. If you exchange the rooks, then you have absolutely no chances. And where do you plan to open the position? With me being so active.
Yeah.
I don't think Vidit has any chance for a comeback here.
4,
3 seconds.
3, 2. Okay, he defends his rook.
Oh, he's going for the
allows-
kill. Picking up a pawn. No
Okay,
more
now
waiting.
The A pawn is going to drop. No.
He's going for mate. Rook takes d6, then there's a checkmate. Queen to f8 and rook to f7. So Vidit has to defend, and he can't repeat moves. This is cruel. He would like to go back with the rook, but that would be a move repetition that can lead to a draw.
Yeah.
So calm, calculated.
But Vidit
impressive stuff.
keeping the game alive, and now
Barely,
he swoops in
barely.
with the queen. Okay, now the queen is looking at the white king and
Oh.
bringing. But now we have some
How many
danger on the
chances?
board. Queen coming to
Chances,
f through. This is huge. The white queen has to drop back.
He has to defend now, and then all of a sudden, questions could be asked. The queen goes back.
And now the queen
white
comes
enters.
into d1. Queen f1. Big threat
Rook
on
back,
the
rook
board.
back covers everything. He can go back with the rook, covering this check on f1, and he spots it. Still in control. Now he offers the rook exchange.
And Vidit obviously can't go
He's
for that.
stabilized again.
And hair-raising moments there. And now the queen is going to give a check. Uh-oh. The rook has to block that check.
White still has one more pawn, picks up another one, 2 pawns up. Vidit will have to find a way to generate counterplay again. But is it in the position? I find it hard to picture. And there's the queen exchange, ending all of Vidit's hopes. 2 pawns down. He can never ever win this position. Actually, he could resign here, but
Yeah.
he will play it out.
There's no way
Just
that
agony.
Abdusattorov will lose this. And now the A pawn comes. I mean, now the king just joins in the fun. And this is it. King goes to the center. Rook is going to defend the pawns. Abdusattorov in complete control. Nothing that Vidit can do. Now he's just going to walk over with the king at some point. There you go.
Yeah.
And rook takes pawn.
2021 rapid world champion showing his class here. Takes his time to convert, but there is no hope
Yeah.
for Vidit.
And I love Abdusattorov's last move. You know, he allows the king to take the A pawn, knowing full well that the B pawn will promote. And Vidit trying, but it's insufficient.
He could advance his E pawn, constructing a mating net, because then this rook check would have been checkmate.
He'll
But he
do it
doesn't
now.
go for it.
No,
Just trying to keep things under
ruthless.
control.
He's going for the G pawn, and all the while, Black has to worry about those 2 passed pawns there. And now the king is going to hide itself on A6. That's it.
Enough is
And-
enough.
Wow, what a powerful display from the 18-year-old with the white pieces. Abdusattorov wins and knocks Vidit down to the lower bracket. Impressive.
Yeah, I was impressed by the poise. He's showing very, very practical, chooses an opening that makes it very tough for Vidit to create chances. But then, when forced to play, he's also ready with the tactics. Wins 2-0 both games. Impressive stuff
Yeah.
from Abdusattorov as the players are analyzing their game. He's one of the contenders in this, isn't he?
Yeah, he made it look easy, let's be honest. I'm very, very impressed by the 18-year-old. You know, how smoothly he handled the second game, just all the time, just bullying Vidit with the option of a draw, you know. But resourceful when he needs to be. Wonderful stuff, impressive.
Also, the clock management seemed very good. He was always a bit ahead on the clock, while Vidit, in the end, was living on seconds.
And
Nodirbek always had the option to think.
And
really needed to.
take a look at this stat, Jan. You know, Vidit's highest heart rate was 138, and calories burned. I don't like this stat.
Just a great workout. 23 calories burned.
Calories. Whereas Nodirbek had a highest heart rate of 120.
That's my resting heart rate.
Very nice stuff from our players. Wonderful game, wonderful performance from the 18-year-old. And here are some of the key moments. Here is when things started to turn in Abdusattorov's favor. You know, he won one pawn.
And he offers the move repetition. This is so cruel. Vidit would love to go back with the rook and repeat moves, but he can't do it because he loses with the draw.
And we're going to see another moment, and here we see Nodirbek keeping control.
I'm not sure, here it felt like he was losing the threat a little bit. He went after the pawn, but now after rook f8, all of a sudden Vidit had some threats. But Nodirbek managed to regain his composure so quickly with the queen back and then the rook back covering everything.
And there we can see he just retreats with the queen, and he's going to give a check, drive the black king back, and then here comes the star move, you know, just drop the rook back. Unbelievable.
And let's hear from Vidit.
Vidit, a tough first match against Nodirbek. Can you tell us a little bit about the two games, please?
In the first game I was better, right until the middle game, but I saw the clock and I was like 50 seconds down, which is not a good thing. And he could take advantage of that. So that was a miss from me. And in the second game with Black, I tried to play for a win, but I don't think I had real chances. He played very controlled game.
Tell us a little bit about the format. How was it to be playing here in this playing hall, you know, a kind of a different environment?
Yeah, the playing hall is excellent. I mean, everything is on point. Actually, there was a gimmick actually which happened because we started the game before it was live, so we already played like 7 moves, so this was like the third game which we played in a way.
Was that not too distracting? How did you guys react?
We were just laughing it off. I mean, these things happen, so we were just laughing it off.
And finally, let me ask you, this is the second event of this series. Did you see anything of the first? Did you follow that?
Yeah, I followed some games, not all of them, but the main thing which I liked was that it was very easy to follow, just like 1 hour, and you are hooked all the time. So I think the format is made to make it very spectator friendly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Vidit, and good luck for the next one. And for now, back to the studio with Yangyi and Jan.
Hello and welcome back. And we are in the studio. Thank you, Fiona, first, by the way. And we are in the studio alongside Nodirbek Abdusattorov, who convincingly breezed past Vidit Gujrathi there. I mean, you made it look easy, Nodirbek.
Yeah, I controlled the clock situation very well, I think, overall, and I think this was one of the important things that I achieved.
Okay.
In the first game, you gave both your bishops for his knights. Is that strategy because you think in blitz knights are more tricky, or was it just a position?
That was not intentional. I just took his knight because his knight was going to c4, and that was very annoying. And yeah, I just quickly took it. In the opening, I think I got a comfortable position, but I played rook a8, which was, I think, is a mistake because my initial plan was to push d5, but d5 was never working.
And then the second game, did he have you worried when you already took these pawns, when he went queen to g4 and then rook to f8? Did you get scared for a second?
Yeah, at some moment I got scared because I saw queen e3, but I just blundered after queen d1 that his idea is queen f1 and rook f2 is coming, so rook c1 is pretty much
just
only...
yeah.
Yeah, and how are you feeling, actually?
Well, I feel very good. It's very good to start with a pretty smooth, I think, victory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you want to know your heart rate? Your highest heart rate was 120. Did you feel calm?
Okay, that's not bad, I think.
Yeah. Your lowest was around about 85, which is a very good heart rate.
Okay.
And were you preparing yourself for Armageddon, or have you made any specific preparations?
No, I just played some blitz. Even yesterday, after a technical meeting, I played a couple of blitz games against Daniil Dubov. So I think it was very useful.
Yeah, and in your next match, you'll be facing either the winner of between Yangyi
And Gukesh.
Yes. Who would you prefer to play?
Well, I'm playing against Gukesh in pretty much every tournament, so I won't be surprised if I face him again. But yeah, we'll see. Yangyi is also a very strong player, so I think it will be a very interesting match.
Okay.
You got 2 days off in Berlin. What are you planning to do? Any sightseeing?
Yeah, I hadn't a chance to see the Brandenburg Gate, so I will for sure will go.
It's like 500 meters that way. You can match. Thank you so much, Nodirbek Abdusattorov, and best of luck for the tournament.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The FIDE Online Arena hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. So join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, profile on FIDE.com, and access to pro chess community, as well as official online ratings and titles recognized by International Chess Federation, prize money tournaments, and much more. So play official games at chessarena.com.
And let's get back to the Armageddon action. The second qualifier for Asia and Oceania has another match today, and that's a pretty big matchup as well.
Yeah, I know. It's between Yangyi and Gukesh. You know, they're from two huge chess countries, and they are both number 2 in their respective countries. And here we have the very experienced Yangyi, who has a high blitz rating of 2783. In fact, he's top 10 in the world there. He became a grandmaster at 14 years old, as well as being an Asian continental champion in 2014. And once again, he was the under 10 world champion.
And a Chess Olympiad gold winner. Let's have a look at some Yangyi.
大家好，我是来自中国的于央一，我今年28岁。我当时学国际象棋的原因也是因为我觉得棋子和肘法对于我来说是很新颖，我也挺好奇的，所以说坚持到了现在。所以说我的生活也是下国际象棋，国际象棋也是我的生活中很重要的一部分。在现在，国际象棋的布局对于我们这些职业选手中间是一个很大的困难。 因为我们大家借助了电脑，所以说经常国际象棋会下得很无聊，所以我也希望能在一些有限的空间里面找到一些有趣的招法，来下出更有趣的国际象棋。
Seems like a very calm, confident young man, but his opponent, even younger.
It is younger. I mean, check him out. He will be up against Gukesh.
Yeah, the 16-year-old, one of the big prodigies that we have in today's game, already playing in super tournaments, became a grandmaster at 14. Really left a mark on the chess world when he won his first 8 games at the Chennai Olympiad 2022, the gold winner on the first board, 3rd youngest grandmaster in the history of chess. Now here he's also good at table tennis.
Yeah, and let's hear more from Gukesh himself.
I'm Gukesh, I'm 16 years old from India. I've been playing chess for 9 years. My world ranking currently is 90 and I'm India number 2. My style of play is mostly universal, but I excel in attacking positions and calculation has always been my main strength. And the proudest moment of my career so far is after my 8th round win against Fabiano Caruana in the Olympiad, which was quite a historical moment. My hobbies apart from chess are mainly sports. I enjoy all kinds of sports, but I enjoy playing badminton and watching tennis. My private life is basically chess.
And we are moments away from the second match beginning. 50 seconds, and there we see Gukesh playing with the black pieces. And is Yangyi at the table?
I don't know, he might be covered up there by the crew member, or maybe he hasn't showed up yet, but Gukesh is ready to play with the black pieces. Gukesh, if he has one weakness in his game, it's maybe his openings. He will have to think how to deal with the onslaught of Yangyi with the white pieces who will try to attack him here. But Gukesh so sharp, so resourceful.
He is.
I'm very, very curious how this is going to go.
I am also looking forward to this matchup. And on the subject of Gukesh, you mentioned that his openings were weak.
Weak.
In fact, well, that's a strong word. But he's actually started training with computers only very recently. And Kate, the timer is off. They see the handshake. And there you go. Yangyi opening with the queen's pawn, and we are seeing obviously a Grundfeld.
Yeah, this is rare for Gukesh to fianchetto the bishop. Maybe he's come up with a new plan to deal with Yangyi. Normally he likes to play in the center first, but now we see a completely symmetrical position, the so-called symmetrical Grundfeld.
And there we see Yangyi actually not challenging the center with his pawns.
You can't copy White's moves all the time, Gukesh. It will backfire at some point.
I think it's a good strategy in this particular game.
And there he deviates.
There you go.
Finally.
Bishop is out, and actually Yangyi has come up with a plan. He's like, hey, your bishop might have developed to f5, but it will not thrive on that square because I'm planning perhaps to go g4. Ooh.
bd7, he's saying go for it. He's not fighting against White's plan, arguing, okay, you might get my bishop, but you have to weaken your king. Oh. I'm intrigued. I think Gukesh
goes for it.
Is playing a bit with fire here, but I do like bishops. Let's see, the engine gives White an edge here. I'm very curious what Yangyi should do. Maybe push his pawn further to attack the knight, and then if the knight moves away, he could capture the bishop. Big decision here. There we see Yangyi. No, he does take directly.
And I think your option was very good, but I also like what Yu has done. Now he's simply developed his dark squares. Bishop, maybe move his queen, set up a battery, and woo, that is one of the most solid pawn formations I have ever seen on the black side. Just simply solidifying everything.
Textbook play from Gukesh in a way. If you give up one of your bishops, you should try to put your pawns on the color of that bishop that is missing, so that they're not standing in the way of the bishop and they can cover a bunch of squares in combination with the other guy. But White has two of these, and I still prefer White's chances here slightly. On the clock, Gukesh a little faster. On the heart rate,
Well,
Yangyi is showing 0? That can't be right.
This is certainly not right. Otherwise, someone will have to call the man a doctor.
He's moving, though.
He is moving. And there we see Gukesh, the heart rate around 100. Now he's gone down to 95. But Gukesh himself mentioned that he's a big fan of table tennis. And this seems to be a chess player's sport.
I've seen him play mini table tennis recently. He did not win that tournament, so we still need proof of his table tennis prowess. His chess prowess, there are no doubts about. This might be the biggest talent we have in the game. He's only 16 years old.
And in the meanwhile, we see that Gukesh has actually won a pawn. Now, it's not a great pawn because it has to be defended by the b6 knight. And the big question, can he keep this pawn?
He's giving it back, but he is happy to exchange his knight for the white bishop.
He is giving it back. Should you take that pawn and then give up your dark square bishop?
That's the big question. You don't have an advantage if you take it. The question is black even better? And
exactly.
Yeah, Yangyi decides to avoid that exchange, but now Gukesh can keep his pawn.
He keeps his pawn, and that is an amazing pawn sat there on b4. Oh, and it's not only great, but it can also advance later on in the game. Wow.
You can see by the engine bar, black has a significant advantage here. Gukesh knows it, his heart rate is going up a bit.
Yeah, and the white knight probably should mobilize itself, put it in the center, get ready to kick back those two pesky horses.
Yeah, this is a very tough spot for Yangyi to be in. You can also see it on the clock. He keeps burning time, looking for a way to find counterplay. But I don't think that way exists.
No, 50 seconds. He has to make an active move. He has to roll the dice somehow.
Where to break? This black structure can't be attacked. Gukesh has all the time in the world. And yeah, the only thing Yangyi could come up with is trying to bring his king a bit closer to the action. But that's a sad admission. That there's nothing he can do.
Yangyi in huge trouble. Not only is he down in material, but also he's down in the clock time. Just take a look, 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Also way down in heart rate.
Yeah.
Really nothing going for Yangyi, and Gukesh opens the next front there with pawn to f5, saying, if you move your king away, you know what, I'll try to open the position where your king shows up. Nice defensive move there, knight to d2, offering the exchange of the knights, because now black cannot capture this pawn in the middle, because then his knight will be hanging. If he exchanges knights first, then the king defends the pawn. Yangyi planned that, but he's still in trouble.
He's in huge trouble. But woof, Gukesh now taking the time to pause, capture the knights, or stand back, and he steps back with the knight, supports his extra pawn, sitting there on c4. Beautiful stuff.
He wants to go for that U pawn next, but U does advance it, so Gukesh can't get a hold of it. Supports the center. No, at the very least, the white pawn formation there looks nice, and Gukesh is going for something complicated. He sacrificed a pawn with e5, but U declines.
You says absolutely not. And now the position is getting really wild, because black's pawns.
Pawn to c3, nice little Zwischenzug, as we say in German. Gives the pawn and then takes another one in the center. Black is still a pawn up, but Yangyi is fighting back nicely, not making it easy for Gukesh at all.
And well, the d pawn now marching up the board.
What's the clock situation here? Gukesh still comfortably ahead, still better with his extra pawn. But I like what Yangyi has done not to collapse. His position looked so unpleasant. Well, now at least he could try to double the rooks, and first he stops the black king from entering and finds some weaknesses on the black queen side. But of course, it's still unpleasant. Knight back to its original square.
Yeah, I know. He's getting ready to move that knight to a3 to attack the b5 pawn. Maybe the white king can step forward. There he goes. Yangyi fighting hard.
Very resourceful, and Gukesh has to figure out a way how to break the white construction, because all the weaknesses there are still covered for now.
Look what Gukesh is doing. He's marching up the board with his king.
Is that risky? Could the king get checkmated? It looks comfortable there.
It looks comfortable, but I don't know. It's brave stuff from the Indian teenager, and now the players are both under a minute.
We can see there is a method to his, well, madness is strong, but to his king march, because now the king supports the advance of the c pawn. He wants to put it on c4, aided by the king and the knight and the rook. So everything is secured. Then he can continue looking for a way to break through.
And 35 seconds.
What's going on here? Does he have a knight fork? Knight
to a2,
attacking the rooks?
Yeah, that will be game over.
Doesn't do it.
No, because there was rook takes pawn check.
Rook takes pawn was a check, so he should have advanced.
But it's there in the air, and the black king being forced back, and now throwing in an intermediate move.
He blundered. He blundered.
Blunders.
Did he blunder rook takes b5? This is too complicated. We're not that good at chess, guys. Please play a little more slowly. Take some time. This is a complete mess. Pawn check. The king has to go back, and now the rook can capture the knight, and the material balance is restored. It's still all equal. Yangyi hanging in there. Tremendous effort.
7 seconds for Yangyi, and wow, what a comeback. He's really fighting hard. Now the rook lining itself up with the king, getting ready to defend the d3 pawn. And, well, Yangyi coming up with some counter chances.
But did he just, I think he made a mistake. He wanted to move the rook, but then the king could have attacked it. So now he has to exchange them, and there is the chance to take the bishop with check. That's what Gukesh is calculating.
Yeah.
He does take the pawn instead.
And now king takes rook. What is happening?
He hung the bishop, he hung the bishop. This is a mistake. Now black is winning. Yangyi, finally, after his heroic defense, crumbles under the pressure. Now with the extra knight, things should be straightforward for Gukesh. But are they?
Yeah, it's a race. And bringing in the king will step forward to G6.
He's figured out a way to control the pawn with his knight, and now he will queen his own pawn and win the game.
No way back from this, and we're going to see resignation from Yangyi. First pushing pawn forward, that's it. Game over. Gukesh wins the first game. Ooh.
Another win with the black pieces, and yeah, that was incredibly intense. I can't say I understood all these complications there. Gukesh dominating early, Yangyi incredibly resilient, but then in the end, Gukesh with the happy ending.
And I have to say that was quite a roller coaster game, like you said. I mean, we thought it was one-way traffic, and then Yangyi just simply fought back with seconds left on the clock. Watch this, he's only got 24 seconds on the clock.
His position is
horrendous. I mean, none of his pieces can move, and yet from this, he manages to trick Gukesh.
I'm not sure where Gukesh went wrong. Maybe he could have pushed his pawn further, because I'm not sure if we'll see this, but now after the recapturing, he's advancing his c-pawn to support the colleague, but somehow was stopped. And then Gukesh, I think, he missed a little trick and lost control. It also shows how good these guys are. Even if they lose control for a second, it's not like they collapsed at all, they just kept fighting.
Definitely, and here is the moment where things got wild.
This is the key moment after the rook exchange. He can take the bishop, but then the king moves to c3 and recaptures, and that's what he was calculating. Besides, not a good idea, so he took the pawn instead, went for this endgame, and the tricky knight on the next move got in the decisive fork. King e4 the mistake, and Yangyi misses the knight fork, and that's the end.
Yeah, it's one of those things about chess, you survive on the brink for moves and moves, and then suddenly you crack.
It's like it often happens when the worst is over, then
you relax.
It gets you with that knight. Good stuff by Gukesh, who now needs a draw to clinch this match.
Yeah, and he will be playing with the white pieces, so it's looking good for him. And we have to remember, Yangyi now is in a must-win situation, and here we see the closing moments of that game. And it looks like white might be able to create some counterplay with his runaway h-pawn, but no. Gukesh showing some position. He's got it figured out. The knight will guard against those pawns, and the a-pawn will simply run to its destination. And there, see the handshake. Game over. And Gukesh now in the driving seat. And Yangyi, what are the chances of winning with the black pieces to take it to Armageddon? We haven't seen an Armageddon match yet.
No, we gotta rename the series if this keeps happening. But it's the most awkward spot in top chess if you have to win with the black piece. Of course, there's always a chance, but these guys are so good, also being solid, keeping control with white, like we've seen from Abdusattorov. So I'm not a mathematician, but I would say it's like 25% chance for Yangyi to mount a comeback here. Vidit has to be. Sorry, I keep saying Vidit. Gukesh has to be an overwhelming favorite. Vidit lost his match already. Gukesh with white. What's he going to do? He can do all the first moves, d4, e4, c4. I think at his core he's a d4 player, so needing only a draw might very well go for that.
Yeah, handshake, they are off, and we see Gukesh open up with the queen's pawn, and Yangyi has to play something dynamic. He has to play to Gukesh's aggressive nature.
has to mix it. But how do you do it?
Push the d pawn in the middle, and now develop the dark square bishop. I was going to say all the way to b4, and instead he's gone for the queen's gambit decline. Now this line, developing the bishop to f4, is very trendy.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on, because usually they do it without this capture on d5. It looks like this is a line that Gukesh studied maybe for another occasion, because he's playing very, very quickly, and he's not really trying to play it safe. He's just playing what he prepared.
Right.
It's not a bad strategy.
It's an excellent strategy. And taking a look at the heart rate, so we can actually get a realistic impression of how Yangyi is feeling. There he's got his heart rate going up to 127, now calming down to 115. And once again, to give you context, anything over 100 means that you're stressed. And if you're above 120, it means you're extremely stressed. And there we see Gukesh just simply doing very happy moves and getting his rooks to the center. And for Yangyi, he has to now find a role for the light squared bishop.
Yeah, this is not an easy spot, because Yangyi has to find a way to keep winning chances and to stop Gukesh from simplifying by breaking through in the center. On the plus side, there are still all the pieces and all the pawns but one on the board. But it won't be easy to stop Gukesh from simplifying. He's preparing to double his rooks and then push his e-pawn, leading to a bunch of exchanges. And there he goes, he pushes.
Pawn in the center, and there we see some trades, as you've mentioned. And the light square bishop comes to e6. I have to say, I quite like black's position. There's nothing fundamentally wrong. And Gukesh now rerouting the bishops, perhaps priming the d4, d5 break.
Yeah, Gukesh wants to simplify further by pushing the next pawn, leading to mass exchanges and a very balanced structure. And I'm not quite sure how Yangyi can stop that. He could put his own bishop on that d5 square, but it would also get exchanged. Instead he goes for the attack on the rook with bishop c4. He's trying to make this messy. Gukesh played very, very quickly so far. And
retreating the rook had to be done, and lining the queen and the bishop up on the same diagonal.
Can you push the pawn in the middle now? I'd be very tempted.
I would be also incredibly tempted, but perhaps you don't need to do that. Maybe you can also ask a question to the light square bishop, and then do it.
Push the pawn, Gukesh. It's time.
But that's one of the things that Gukesh is famous for. He's famous for his attack and fighting spirit and his need to kind of complicate the positions. And talking about clock times.
Here he goes.
There you go. Going straight for the action, and there we see bishop takes.
Yeah, he's calculated carefully that he doesn't lose material here.
Yeah.
Because we also see these rooks facing each other. So if black took the bishop now in the middle, then white could not recapture directly, because black would take the rook. But Gukesh had figured out he could exchange the rooks first, and now he can exchange the queens, leaving very little material left on the board. Pawns are equal, the structure is almost equal. It's actually exactly equal.
This is beginning to feel like mission impossible here. As you've indicated, everything is level, and I actually have to say I prefer white's minor pieces as opposed to black's.
Yeah, but that's why it's so hard to win with black at this level, because of course Gukesh is very, very aware of the match situation, and he's going for simplifications. Yangyi did not really find a way to stop him from doing so. How do you win this with black?
Well, you need a miracle or help from your opponent. And there we see knight attack the bishop, steps back, and well, the trades are happening. And now we have rook and bishop against rook and knight. And I've always liked the rook and bishop as a pair.
Yeah, Gukesh is slightly better, if anything. The last thing that Yangyi can hope for is the tricky knight, maybe in some time trouble.
Yep.
Doing its magic, but I don't really see it happening here. Gukesh also still has almost 2 minutes.
Right, and I would also say that Gukesh should be actually playing for a win.
Nah,
Step
why?
the king forward. Because it's much more fun to play for a win.
He's playing for the match win. That's enough.
That is enough.
Oh, and that comes the first trick. He's hoping for f4, rook takes f4. Now can you take the pawn on h4?
Yeah.
Probably doesn't do much, but just to get some knight trickery in.
But then,
Rook takes pawn, pawn recaptures, knight fork.
but also the white rook can simply move and attack the b pawn.
I know.
And hang on a second, the trick is in operation. He's covered that.
Trying to set that up.
So rook takes pawn, a potential trick in the air. And with 1 minute and 40 seconds, will he spot it? Of course. What a
Spoiling
spoil
fun.
sport. King comes forward. Oh, and there you go.
Very
Covering
solid.
any b4 nasties.
Yeah, also securing that square for his bishop in case he wants to give a check there.
Great
It's
strategy.
tough for you, Yangyi, to make anything happen here.
And now giving a
Comes the
check. Unfortunately, the black king has to travel on light squares and retreat. And now, I think
Rook step forward, attacking a pawn.
think
The
I
bishop
would
could
be
just
tempted.
go back, saying, you know what, I don't need to do more.
that's just ruthless.
So
you can't be so
opportunistic, all these
efficient
guys.
like that. And 27
There you are.
seconds. Uh-oh.
Move repetition. Yangyi has to avoid that, but how?
He has to avoid at all costs. And
Gukesh
now
said,
he has to
"Draw
do
is fine
something
with me."
different now. Here.
He will.
And he has 16 seconds. He drops back with a rook. Not bad. Not bad. Keep the game alive, Yangyi. You need to win in order to take this match to Armageddon. King centralizes.
I like the strategy. If you put the king on a different color than the rook, then you can never blunder a fork. They're on different colors. Then they can't be attacked at the same time by a knight. So Gukesh playing very safely.
Instructive technique there. And the rook simply retreating backwards. I love the way that he's moving the pieces. So calm, so collected.
What's his heart rate?
King.
Like 50? 82.
82. No, he's not troubled at all. For Yangyi, on the other hand, 117. He knows he needs to do something. And now, less than 6 seconds on the clock. And we have to remember the players are just getting a 2-second increment per move. Not much time, stating the obvious. And giving a check to the black king. Steps back.
Great thing for white is he can always repeat moves here. He doesn't have to do much. Can just give another check or attack that pawn. Tell you, Yangyi. If your king goes back, I'll give you one more check. If you want to change the situation, be my guest.
Steps forward with the
More
king,
checks
but I mean,
coming.
but another check is incoming. I mean, is the black king gonna head into no man's
To
land?
run. It has to run.
One away.
More repetitions.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's very little to do for you, Yangyi here. And he
He's
knows
gonna
it.
give a
of course.
check. King steps up.
Another check.
And
This
I
might
like
be a threefold. This might be the third time we've seen this position. I'm not sure if Gukesh wants to claim it, apparently not, but this looks very familiar.
Okay, now we see an imbalance because he's offered a rook trade.
Yeah, I have a feeling Gukesh could have just called the arbiter there because it was 3 times the same position. Then it should be a draw, but he's also not in trouble, so he didn't have to. Now he's weighing the consequences of the exchange of the rooks. Should he move the bishop? Yeah, he goes bishop e5.
Yeah, and the knight. And is there any chance for black to win this?
Maybe there is a small chance. Of course, the position is equal, but with the knight threatening to jump to c5, maybe e4, and all the white pawns are on the same color as his bishop, which is not ideal. So I have a feeling Gukesh should be a little careful now,
Yeah.
because the first knight forks are looming.
Yes, and they are coming there. And I love the way that this bishop, it might not be the most active of pieces, but it is a great defender. And take a look at that king. It's coming into the board. It's coming into the middle. And Yangyi once again showing us what a great fighter he is.
Yeah, out of nothing,
seconds.
he's putting pressure here on Gukesh. And this I don't know. I've seen better positions than this being lost. White has to be a little careful.
And Gukesh making sure that every single one of his pawns are on dark squares.
Yeah.
No forks on the board, everything's protected. All Gukesh needs to do is hold the balance. Easier said than done.
Looks like he managed, but he's also down to 9 seconds now, with little time.
Don't get the knight trapped.
Yeah, the knight's left the right track there.
And
now pawn to f3, where does this knight ever go?
It doesn't have it.
He doesn't do it.
No. Instead, he goes for the win. Look at that. With 4 seconds left on the clock, his king makes a dash, and wow. 4, 3. Everything's protected by the bishop.
Now the pawn will come. This knight doesn't have a lot of great squares, so it has to go back to its exile there.
But now that knight is completely saddled. It can't get out. Look at it. It's caged in. All Gukesh needs to do is just wait. That's it. It's going to be a draw.
Seconds.
And we can see Yangyi's heart rate, 146, as he realizes what is about to happen. 2 seconds. Oh!
That was close.
Whoa.
Oh, king g5. He allows the knight to roam free. That's surprising. But he's calculated everything. Now he can take the pawn, then take the next pawn. He's saying, I'm not losing this position. Pawn up.
Yeah. And you're right. Nothing to be done as long as the bishop keeps an eye on the a3 pawn.
He loses his pawn
safe.
back, but is there hope?
There is no hope whatsoever.
Why is the king going that way? Shouldn't you want the king closer to the action?
No, the king will shadow the black king, because the whole point is then after knight takes pawn, you can just simply make a trade. And there's no way that white can ever lose this. Careful. 10 seconds.
Keeps doing this.
And Gukesh, he knows the drawing technique. There you go. The shadow is in operation.
So his point is, if black puts the king on the b3 square next to the pawn and then takes it, then he can give the bishop and force a draw like that by locking that king up on the edge of the board. Or if the white king is allowed to go to the corner, it's fine as well. I think they will go for stalemate because it's fun. There we are. It's stalemate, which is a draw.
And we see Gukesh wins the match with that draw. What a performance from the 16-year-old. I mean, I still can't get over how young Gukesh is.
Also never seems to get older. He's been like 16 for 5-6 years now. We've been referring to him as a 16-year-old. The math doesn't add up. But yeah, it was a very mature performance. He wins the first game with the black pieces, and then with white, he doesn't mind, you know, simplifying, exchanging some pieces, saying, I need a draw, do your worst. And Yangyi didn't manage to ask any serious questions.
I have to say, I was very impressed by the fact that Gukesh just kept making those small comebacks, because, you know, he was completely in control, and then he messed up a bit. And Yangyi, with seconds on the clock, kept finding a way to fight back. But Gukesh was like, okay, that's cool, I'm okay, and managed just to neutralize that kind of play. And there we see when things looked completely in control for Gukesh, it looked like nothing could go wrong.
Yeah, this was the moment we were thinking about the rook sacrifice, taking this pawn on h4, but white doesn't have to accept it. He could have kept his rook, attacked another pawn. Probably wouldn't have done much. It looks like maybe for Gukesh playing chess is fun. Is that possible? That he doesn't think of it as stress? He has this low heart rate. He's, you know, keeping things under control.
Yeah, certainly looks like he's enjoying himself. The results have all gone his way. He looked completely calm, chill, and he's a teenager.
Must be nice, traveling the world, crushing chess tournaments, winning your first 8 games at the Olympiad, and winning his first match here against the super strong Yangyi.
And once again, you know, here we see some beautiful calculation from Gukesh. He finds a way just to control the position.
Just not allowing this knight out of its cage. No, he covers the pawn first.
Exactly, and there you go. The knight is forced to put itself on h2, and there's nothing that Yangyi can do. It's completely helpless.
We will switch to Fiona with you, Yangyi.
That's right.
Yangyi, unfortunately, you just lost the first match against Gukesh. Can you tell us a little bit about the games?
Yes, the first game, in middle game I play very slowly. I think, maybe I mistake sacrifice C4 palm, no good. Maybe I play too easy. Maybe pawn take, maybe better. I don't know. But in under game, I think my precision is good, but I miss my bishop. Yes, okay. In two game, in under game, maybe I have a little chance, because in blitz, but my opponent difference maybe better.
Let's talk about one question about the format. How did you like playing in this playing hall? You know, how do you like being in Berlin and playing here? How is it?
Yes, this is my two time to Berlin. Yes, because last year in Grand Prix in same playing hall. I hope I next match play better.
Well, we wish you the best of luck for the next match, and for now, back to the studio with Jovanka and Jan.
Thank you, Fiona, and it is our pleasure to have in the studio with us 16-year-old Gukesh. Wow, Gukesh, what a roller coaster match.
It was the first game. It was out of the opening, I was clearly better.
Yeah.
Clean pawn up, but then I missed some tricks and it got messy. But after that I found this knight f3. I mean, I was only thinking about knight b3, but then luckily I found knight f3 was an option, and of course he blundered king e4 knight d2. But anyways, the position was probably clearly better for me.
Right.
So,
but
yeah.
But were you surprised that he kept finding resources? Because he was playing with 7 seconds on the clock, and we thought you were in full control, but then he found a way.
Yeah. And in the second game, I had full control throughout the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the sending the bishop versus knight, it should be only white can press, but okay, I was just playing it solid, but I played it a bit too solid, and then he got his king active, and I couldn't find the entry squares, and I was a bit worried, but I don't think it can be lost at any point.
No.
Yeah.
How do you approach it when you win the first game with black? Do you know it draws enough and you alter your openings, or do you say, I'll just play what I always play and take it from there?
Actually, I was I prepared some other line for the white game, but thought this is a very logical thing to do. This is my usual repertoire, and I just thought, okay, I can't really get into any trouble in the opening here, so it can get very, very tricky when you're playing for a draw with white pieces, but
Tell me about it.
but I just tried to play a normal game, and of course.
And take a look at the brackets. So you'll be playing Nodirbek Abdusattorov in the next match. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, of course, he's a very strong player, and we've had a lot of interesting games and matches. Of course, it'll be a very exciting and great match.
And how will you prepare? You've got 2 days in Berlin.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll just go for a walk. It's a really nice place. So.
Those are some ambitious plans. It's cold though, but yeah, thank you so much, Gukesh. Impressive match and best of luck for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And one of the official partners of the Armageddon Championship Series is IT.com, a domain registry like no other. It provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
And we're back. That was quite a day. These prodigies crushing their opponents, facing each other now. This will be a big matchup in the winner's bracket, no?
Yeah,
Abdusattorov
definitely.
against Gukesh. But before that, we have the other quarterfinals tomorrow. What we have?
Look at that. Take a look. We have Karthikeyan Murali against Parham Maghsoodloo, as well as, this one is going to be very exciting, Daniil Dubov against Vladimir Kramnik. I mean, wow. There is going to be action on every single match. I imagine everything will be hotly contested, and hopefully there will be an Armageddon.
Yeah, Dubov Kramnik Armageddon would be so much fun. Rapid world champion versus former world champion. It's going to be a fun day. What time do we start?
Same time, same place. We'll see you tomorrow.